All right, y'all, let's get into cannabis, the plant that is 3 in 1, the marijuana, and the hemp, and the ruderalis. And let's connect some light together, okay? So, a little bit about myself. When I was 14, like I've told y'all in other videos, I have kind of dedicated my life to end times and the return of Jesus and all those other things in one way, shape, or form, okay? I did not do it necessarily according to how maybe the Christian standard under the law would do it. I did it more of the chosen style where I lived my life by faith. And as I lived my life by faith, I went into the dark, and I learned what the dark was, and I learned about those invisible lights that the visible light tries to distract you from, okay? So I never got married until a certain age because of end times, and I didn't want my kids to grow up and take the mark of the beast, and I basically didn't want my 20-year-old or 15-year-old or whatever, you know, growing up and taking the mark. So I did basic calculations, and I could see like when Jesus would be coming back, and I was like, well, shit, that's right in the time frame. So either way, I met my wife now around the time of Obama, the abomination, the dark sun coming in, and I knew enough stuff back then where I knew he was the Antichrist or one of the Antichrists, but things weren't exactly lining up or happening the way the church was teaching, but I was putting together these things like the millennium and just whatever basic little easy details, okay? So you had the blood moons and whatever else, but these little things were triggering things. So just with my desires in life and end times and having kids and getting married or whatever, it all worked out to where I had a kid, moved to the mountains, and try to preparing for that tribulation that was coming or whatever during the dark moon or dark sun time frame. But it wasn't the God's plan as far as the main light, okay? Because we went there for almost a couple years and we came back to where we kind of came from. But as we came back, my life that I had before changed in a way, and I kind of went into bondage in a way because I was having a boss at that point and I always worked for myself, and it was kind of a slow transition to these things. But as I was going changing life and preparing for the tribulation, I was going into the tribulation, okay? And now that I've pretty much went through my 8-year tribulation, we're coming out of that tribulation in a matter of speaking. The other people, they're going to be going into the tribulation, okay? Because there's a spiritual tribulation and a carnal tribulation, and these things are kind of stacking or whatever. And the people who climbed up on the watchtower and were given that light or whatever and been not given over to the delusion, they are having to deal with things spiritually right now and not carnally, because they know spiritually being awake and being enlightened and having the making that choice, okay? I made this choice long ago to set this on my heart and to be a voice in end times and such, but you got to have a certain type of heart or emotional barriers in order to handle being enlightened, okay? Because with knowing, there's great sorrow. So a lot of these things, if you're not grounded properly, you you might go crazy in a way. Okay, so you got to have that light inside of you. Okay. So an early love of my life, okay, was end times and looking for Jesus, getting to that watchtower, knowing what was going on. All right. Lived my whole life for it. Lived it out of faith. Living it out of faith brought me something else in my life. Okay. Now, my human wife that I have today, who has my children, all right, she is my first wife as far as a human being. Okay. My first wife is the cannabis plant. All right. Or was the cannabis plant. That's a whole nother story. But I dedicated my life to growing cannabis, and I grew it in a black market setting. And with that, I had to make choices in my life. And these choices in my life, I can look back and maybe go back to maybe kindergarten, but being able to separate myself from society in a way and live my life a little bit different, because I had to do things under the law so I did not go to prison. Okay. And when the things I've done in my life, okay, I become that dark son to my parents. And when I went into the tribulation per se the past 8 years, I was working for my dad, and he didn't like to hire felons and whatever else, and I like to hire felons. I like to give them a chance or whatever. So I know most of them are behind those bars for something that doesn't belong behind bars, and we don't even need to ask those kinds of questions. So it's a whole different mentality, and that shows me that the things that I've done in my life, because I should be that felon. I should have been that person behind bars. I should, it's the grace of God, me, that I listened, that I looked out for myself, that the light looked out for me, that all these little things, they all, okay? We are God in a sense that we create our own world, okay? The world's out there. There's two worlds out there, and we create our own world in here. And so just these things tells me, like I know if my own family, all right, if I'm that black sheep to my own family, I'm surely that black sheep to the world. Okay. The life I've lived is 1,000 times different than the life that my parents lived. Okay. And the things that I've learned in my life, the things that I've seen and whatever, is 1,000 times different than my parents or the general population of the boomers and stuff. Okay. And my life is way different than most of the people, because I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth, at a prime time for clubbing and going out and drugs and partying and all kinds of stuff. Okay. And I was in the deep heart of it. And I was brought in under people's wings to help me learn how to operate under the law. Okay. So there's different levels of God that's looking out for me, God. All right. But it's ultimately all up to me, because I'm the one's making decisions. I'm the God who's in control, because I can either let my tags go out, I can let my blinker go out, I can let my headlight go out and be pulled over for any one of those things, or do a roll stop or whatever. Okay. So while we can't, this is that grieve us sin. We are not taking that responsibility for ourselves. Okay, we got to take responsibilities for ourselves and realize that the things that come in our life is a result of my actions. It's our actions that bring the things around us. And the things that are around us, it's our choice to react to those things, okay? Now, cannabis, it heightens the senses, okay? And it can make you high or it can make you low. It can make you active, it can make you lazy, it can make you remember or it can make you forget. It's the plant that is given for the healing of nations with a river on two sides. Okay, this river of two sides is high or low, high or stoned. Okay, the river of two sides is also the recreational and the medical. Okay, so cannabis being my first wife per se, and I lived my life for that plant. When I was 27, I got hurt in the car wreck, and that's when the light surrounded me and basically saved my life or whatever. And from that point on, things kind of started changing because I met my wife shortly after that, and she was in a car wreck too, where she should have died also around that same time, but I didn't know her at the time. And then I also met her through a girl named Amy. Okay, Amy was working at the hair school, or at hair school, another Amy. All right, and then this Amy I met through a dude named Pearl. All right, so this is all tying a little story together for those of us who have the eyes and ears to hear it, because I've told y'all before, the people who gave me the first hard drugs named like Angel, and my girlfriend at the time was Angela. That's the angels or whatever. So this is just like different powers of God coming in to give me things and give me access to knowledge that plays a role for today. Because a lot of the things that that I learned in the dark world, or that influenced me in the dark world or whatever, are useful today. And that dark world is controlled through dark speak and dark sentencing. And this is what Daniel understood. And this is how like Biden and Hunter or whatever, they're able to do their deals in plain sight because they're using dark sentencing. Okay, and this is what's going on my page, and the dark sentencing is what helps unveil the miracles, the mirror calls, and calling the events coming up and those types of things. But so we're going to end this video just because of time, and then we're going to do more cannabis talk because we're going to be getting into that Reefer Madness replay and that drug war replay, and we kind of need to know what's going to be going on because people are giving over to the delusion.